Hi, everybody. This is Tony Abaddon G, and on Facebook, Abaddon G. Um, this is a long time coming, and I just wanted to talk about, um, the time when I was labeled an apostate. Now, I have to go back to 2014. I was already disfellowshipped, and I was coming back to the meetings. My son um, encouraged me to do so, and I thought it was the truth, just like everybody else. Who has been indoctrinated with the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses. And I just want to say one thing before I start. I'd want to dedicate this to my son, Nick Garcia. He has no idea what I went through I uh, before I got labeled an apostate, and when everything was going on, it was really hard for me to comprehend at the time what I was going to have to go through, because I lost everything. So that being said, I just want to say, I love you, Nick, and hopefully one of these days you'll wake up and see what I see. We have to go back to 2014, and therefore, for a while, I, was going to the meetings. I was doing everything. I was trying to get it reinstated, and every time it came to a judicial meeting where they're going to talk to you about getting reinstated, something would uh, come up, and they would always tell me, well, you're not ready to be reinstated. So I just left it at that, and um, I went ahead and just went with the flow, and continued going to the meetings and everything. And then in 2014, something very unusual happened to me. Um, Everybody talks about the anointing, about the anointing of God's Spirit, that certain ones have, we've been taught, the Jehovah's Witness, that there's 144,000. And, I believe that. And then one day I was at the meening, and they were talking about the anointed, and I heard a voice. I mean, I've and I have never heard voices. I've never had any type of schizophrenic type of symptoms or anything like that. And so it was quite a shock to me. I heard a voice, and it said yes. And we're talking about the anointing. They were talking about the anointing at the podium, and it clicked. What was going on. So it's starting to rain. So I had a lot of difficulty coming to terms with being called, whether you believe that or not. I don't believe I was anointed. I believe I was chosen. So that being said, certain things started to come to me. I was being guided. What I didn't know, that I was being guided away from the so-called truth, and certain things started coming up. I started, being drawn to scriptures, especially scriptures that we never, ever talk about, especially 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Now, in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, it talks about not to be deceived, especially those who have come to you with an inspired expression, with a written message, though appearing to be from us, which were apostles of the day. So that kind of clicked to me and said, well, that isn't that what the governing body calls themselves? They call themselves the apostleship. And then it started talking about in Second Thessalonians again about regarding the day of the Lord, and if it has come, anybody saying that the day of the Lord has come, that it will not come unless the apostasy comes first. And then it just clicked. I'm like, this is the apostasy. Christ hasn't come. So then it goes on to talk about the man of lawlessness sitting in the temple of God, and then that really just woke me up. And one thing that you don't know is that if you question the church, you question the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses about 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, you are going to be labeled an apostate. That is a guarantee. I promise you that. And that's exactly what I did. We had our next judicial meeting. It's really starting to rain out there. We had our next judicial meeting, and wow. During that time, or right before all this stuff was going on, and I was being drawn to a realization of what the truth really is about Christianity in general. And I believe that the apostasy is global. It is a global phenomenon. It is not just Jehovah's Witnesses, but at the time I was a Jehovah's Witness, so I realized that this is not the truth. Matthew 13 talks about the weeds and the wheat, that the weeds are going to grow alongside the weeds, and then the time's coming when God's going to take out from his kingdom all those, or all things of lawlessness, everything that is corrupt, and that these things, these weeds, grow along with the wheat. So it dawned on me that these so-called anointed ones, these governing body members, are really not what they say. They are weeds within the wheat, because you have pedophilia rampant inside the organization. You got all kinds of problems. Immorality is at an all-time high. They're dropping off. People are leaving the organization in droves, and it just finally dawned on me, and it took me a long time to wake up, that this is not the truth. And when I went to the judicial meeting, they were in a committee to, what I thought was to be reinstated. And I was in for a big surprise. That's exactly what did not happen. They questioned me on 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, or what are your views? And I didn't even get to say what I thought. They said right away, it says you have apostate thinking. You need to re-examine yourself. You need to study more. I'm like, why do I need to study more? Why can't you explain that to me? Why can't you explain to me what 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 really means? And they wouldn't. They can't. They won't, because for some reason that chapter in the Bible is taboo. It is something that they just do not discuss anywhere. In fact, I don't know of any article, any Watchtower, Awake, any publication that they've ever tackled that issue. That being said, like I said, that's when I realized that I'm not going to get reinstated, And I had this calming sensation, go out throughout my body, and I realized that, wow, the burden of trying to be good enough for these people has been lifted, and I'm free. And that's when I was labeled an apostate. And at the same time, I was grateful to God for giving me the insight to be able to make my own decision, and knowing that this is not the truth, and I can leave with a clean conscience. And that's what I'm grateful to Jehovah God. And I do believe in Jehovah God. I do believe that there is a God that is going to establish his kingdom on the earth. And that kingdom is going to rid the earth of all this corruption. And I believe it's going to come down to, all these people who are professing to be apostles, to be priests, to be prophets. All these people are going to have a reckoning with God, and it's coming real soon. The hardest part for me was my son calling me an apostate. He has no idea what the word apostate means, because if you look in the Bible, the apostate comes from within the church. I was on the outside, looking in, and I could see everything. And he is so in love with the idea of the truth. And that's the lure. That's what catches people. And they don't see the corruption because they have been brainwashed into thinking that this is the only way they're going to survive the cataclysm that's going to come in the end times. And that's sad. I miss my son. I miss my family. I've been excommunicated. They don't talk to me. We were raised in the organization, and it's been really tough. If you have any comments, please feel free. I'd like to discuss, this with anybody out there. It would help for the healing process, because I'm still in a state of sadness, because it's been tough, especially after repeatedly trying to talk to my son, and then he just doesn't get it. He has been, he's being told by the governing body that I'm mentally diseased, that I'm a horrible person, and that I'm going to die in Armageddon, and that's a sad thing, especially because I love him so much. But anyway, I thought I'd get this out. It's a long time coming. Anyway, if you'd like this podcast, I encourage you to like and subscribe. You can reach me if you want to. You can private message me on Facebook at AbidonG, and I'd love to talk to you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.